Yes, sir.
Hello. Excellent speech. Lecture, Professor. But my question to you is twofold. When you pose that with the atheist theory that if everything is physical and scientific, that when we die, we're nothing more than the amino acids, and that seems shallow, and that you couldn't possibly translate our existence to something as simple as that. I find that in science, that one, if you was to put it into perspective, that cannot be something that was so shallow, because if that's what everything is, that is in and of itself everything. And in biblical terms, they refer to the truth as being our goal. That would be our physical scientific truth. And if you was to express that in relation, we would be forever in light. When light bounces off of us, I'm just saying, if you was to put it in context, would that therefore give us a value that you would be willing to accept? And if you was willing to accept that value, would your view in God change, or would you say it's another gift?
You can, the question is of how can, well, you all heard the question?
I'm sorry, shall I rephrase that better? Now that I think about it, there's a better way.
Let me try. On an atheistic worldview, we are amino acids, molecules, and conglomerations of different psychological states emerging from the rectices of the brain. And that's all we are. When we die, it's over. Door is closed, the chapter is finished. That's it. Can you possibly find meaning on that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, on a superficial level, you can find meaning with a small m. But a capital M, where meaning transcends your life and the life of those around you, no, it's not possible. And I think most atheists would agree with me there. So,
Are there any other questions? We have a few down here. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, ma'am, up there at the top.
Yes. You end up your speech by saying that research is good, right? I did had an astronomy professor who had answers to everything that happened. And once I asked about his belief in God, and he said, I know we start with Big Bang and we end with the explosion, the one that even the Bible is saying that we're going to have the fire, the storm of fire, which in astronomy is going to be the end of the world by transforming the sun into a red star. But pretty much he didn't want to put those two together. To some of the questions like what was before the Big Bang, he said, God knows. So pretty much, do you think that by pushing somebody, a Christian, for example, to research and having answers to all these questions, then when what God has to do with it?
okay, what's God got to do with it when we keep finding more answers? Well, there's a dichotomy there, Professor. Thank you for asking that question. There's a dichotomy we have to avoid. That there's reason over here, and there's faith over here. They're two separate things. That's not the case. Historically, they're one. They link together. What I believe in my heart must make sense in my mind. What I believe in my heart must make sense in my mind. So if I do believe there are things in the world like angels and people rising from the dead and things, I need to have reasons for these. Otherwise, I'm dead meat for the charlatans out there who can use religion to manipulate anybody. Because they're not researching and studying to find out who are a cult and who's not a cult, who's telling the truth and who's manipulating. So I think that's important to look at that. Regarding that, Professor, there's a lot in cosmology that's led people to God. According to modern cosmology, 13.7 billion years ago is when the universe started. It started, and Hawking confirmed this, with a big bang. Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And why couldn't he have done it with a bang? I see there's a connection there. It's a universe from nothing. Nothing with what? Nothing is impossible. Right. You have to have some kind of intellect, something transcendent, something timeless, something spaceless, something all-powerful, something very intelligent. And the only one who fits that resume would be God, theologically speaking. As believers, if you are believers, don't jettison your mind. Just check your mind at the door. Test things. Even Jesus said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind. So.
Yeah, but even nothing is something.
That's right. That's why nothing can't exist by itself. Right?
Nothing can exist.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Dr. Swice. For me, atheism appears to be a mature or even a lofty religion. In Christianity, children are allowed to confess Jesus Christ at an early age. Are there any atheistic professions of children that you have heard of?
Good question.
Well, according to the modern definition of having no beliefs, all children are atheists, which I don't buy. No, I don't know. I think it's a natural human reaction. I think there's some scientific research done for us to believe in something outside of ourselves. Great Father. I think that's why most children believe it, because it's a natural human response. But then again, natural human response isn't always true, because you have to also check the facts to see whether what you believe is actually true. Good point.
Are there any other questions? We have a question right there. Yes, sir.
Well, how are you doing, Dr. Swice? Love the speech, but it leaves me more questions to answer. But my question is, there are roughly 4,620.9 million people in the world, and the best estimates put the number around 4,200 different religions. Now, why should I consider one religion over the other? All of them claim to be the truth, and the law of contradiction says A cannot be A and B at the same time. So how could one religion be right, and so can the next religion be right? So how can that be true? Which religion is right?
Somebody else want to take that one? Brilliant question. Thank you. There's a myth out there that all religions lead to God. That's absurd, because Buddhism doesn't even believe in God.
Right.
There's some sections of it that believe in some kind of higher powers within it. There's some segments within Hinduism that don't believe in God either. There's even an Anglican priest in England who is a confirmed atheist. So not all religions believe in God. They have their own systems and thought processes. First off, we have to acknowledge that religions are different. They believe different things about God. They don't teach the same things about heaven, hell, salvation, how to get to heaven, how not to, who God is. They're all different. And the key is to research and do something absolutely radical called read. Pick up the great books. Pick up the Quran. Pick up the Bible. Pick up the ancient books. Read them yourselves and see what they actually said. And then analyze it and do something even more radical than reading. Pray. I'm of the conviction that Jesus of Nazareth is the Son of God. And I think that all the great religions of the world are like stars in the sky. They shine light to us. But Jesus is like the sun. There are people here in the college and there are people around the country who disagree with my position. They think, no, it's the other way. And that's fine to disagree. And I respect their position. But how can we actually search and dive into truth without research and looking into it and having an era of open discussion? A lot of these things that the atheists are doing, they'll do it in a context where they'll be safe. For example, there was a Reason rally in Washington, D.C., where they mocked God and mocked anybody who believed in it. Try doing that Reason rally in Saudi Arabia and Mecca. See how many of them will still be standing after that. I don't think that's very fair to be able to do. The reason I bring that up is, to be a true Muslim, I have to be able to freely practice my faith. To be a true Christian, I have to be freely able to practice my faith. And I can't do that unless I actually research and pray and really look into it. There are different ways of analyzing the truth, and we should keep seeking to find out what it is. We shouldn't give up. I'm convinced that if we do seek with all our heart, we will find the truth.
And we are truly privileged to live in a country where we can freely choose any religion we want to choose. Some places over in China, Korea, by them just saying the word Jesus or Christ or whatever, they're persecuted and killed for just believing.